Thanks for joining. So I'll get started and just go through this real quickly. So welcome to episode 5 of our CRM Cafe. Today I'll talk about our leads and lead process. I'll go through a quick welcome and I'll introduce leads. Then we'll go over the leads record overview, what the lead cycle is, and then I'll do a quick demo within the leads records. So you guys can see what a lead is and kind of how it looks in Dynamics and kind of what some of the fields are. So what is a lead? A lead is a potential customer who has shown interest but hasn't been qualified yet. Now in CRM, they're typically the early stages of the records used to capture all the pertinent information, and then the interest if they're if they're interested in the solution that we have. And then you can convert that from the lead to the opportunity or record, or opportunity record or account record with the click of a button. How are they created? We have marketing generated leads. So these are leads that come from HubSpot based on different marketing activities. So like conferences, events, marketing emails, website form fills, social media campaigns, and there's a whole lot of other things that marketing does to create those leads. There's also sales generated leads. Now this isn't something we use very often, but it's something that I would hope we can start using more in the future, and there'll be some more training on it once we get all of the records lined out. But these are records that the sales team would create. So these could be based off of self-prospecting, phone calls, cold calls, sales email campaigns, referrals, LinkedIn connections. And sales generated leads can also use those marketing sources. So let's say you're at an event and it wasn't necessarily a lead that was generated by marketing through the event. You were at the event, you met the person there. You'd want to use that source as where the lead came from. So it's really, how they're created. It's two ways. Marketing does them, and then sales generates them. So overview of the lead record. Some key fields that are very important and required on the lead. So the name of the lead, it's just typically the contact, so the person's first and last name, the institution or account, the person's email, their phone number, and then obviously the source. So that's again back what we were talking about. That's going to be where it came from. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. The owner, so that's going to be the account executive or the record owner. And then when it was created on. That's pretty important so we can understand how long that lead has been in the system and how long it's been waiting to be worked. There's a few different views that we have set up. So I created the new one that I sent out this afternoon. It's the new My Open Leads. So that's just an easier version of a view that should probably really be set up as your default within Leads. Just because it's a lot cleaner, it has data that you actually want to see and not just some random stuff in there that's not really important. You can create views by lead source. There's a view in there that you can see just the new leads that have come in this week. And then there's also views for disqualified leads. So those can be important for people that want to do some, internal prospecting, some, going and looking at old leads that didn't turn out to anything. We can go in there and look at those and then try to drum those back up or see if there's any interest now. The cycle of this, so leads come in, and they're new in the system, and then you contact them, and then we qualify them into opportunities, and then they're converted into sales. At least that's the goal of how this should work, right? Now, qualification criteria. So once you have that new lead that comes in and you've reached out to them and you've started having that conversation, if it has a valid contact information, if they're even semi-interested in ATI products and the person you're talking to is the decision maker, that's when we want to qualify that. So what happens then is you'll click that qualify button and that'll create an opportunity, a contact, and an account. Now, if there's already a contact in the system or an account already created, it will only create the opportunity. Another cool thing is it'll take all of the fields that are also on the opportunity and it'll auto map those to the opportunity so you won't have to fill out much on the opportunity form. All the required stuff's already on the lead form. Now, some common reasons for disqualifying a lead. You have no response. It's not a good fit. Maybe it's a duplicate or it was spam email. A lot of times the spam ones will be email addresses that are like Gmails, or it just doesn't look like a real email address. This can also be for people who are already customers. Maybe this was something they reached out to the website and didn't realize that this would create a lead for them. You can disqualify it that way. Best practices is to always select a reason whenever you're disqualifying, and add notes for context. There's a field on the quick create for the disqualification for notes. So type in, whatever is important and why you disqualified that in more detail. And then use views to track those disqualified leads for your reporting, and also just to go back and look at views again or leads again if you wanted to see that. All right, I'm going to jump in real quick into Dynamics, and we will just go through leads real quickly. All right, so I am set up on the new My Open Leads, and obviously leads is right here. If you click on that, it'll take you to your default. I don't know if mine's set up as the default for this one. Yep, I already set it up. Just a reminder, any view you're in, you can come in here and select one of these, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can set it to your whatever you're on. So let's just say we're on this one, and then we'll go in here and we'll scroll to the bottom. And you see it says set current view as my default. So I'm not going to do that, but that's how you would set it. So we'll go back into here. And again, the new My Open Leads is going to be under My Views leads. So these are all the ones that I have, and it's just called that right there. New My Open Leads. I want to go into a different one just because I want to show you. I want to go into the lead record, and I didn't have any lead records there. So we'll just start at the first lead that's on here. It doesn't really matter what it is. Just want to go in and show some highlights of this lead. And you can see this lead's already deactivated or disqualified. So one thing to point out is there's this BPF pipeline. So this is the same pipeline that is on the opportunity. Everything, all the records start in the identify or the prospects. This is the lead stage. So any record you create as a lead will stay here. Once you qualify it, and there's not the button, so let's go back into, let's go into one that's actually open so we can see that. Let's find an open lead. All right, so we'll hop into this one. So like I was saying, this BPF here, the stages, every lead that's created will start here. And then as you move it through or you qualify it, so if I click qualify right here, it would qualify this lead, it would create an opportunity, and since there's no existing account on this, it would also create a new account, and then it would create a new contact for Annette. So then you'd have those new things. This lead would go away, it would close, and then you would start working in the opportunity, and then it would move that opportunity to validate, and then you would do everything from the validate stage on the opportunity itself. So some important information. The topic is typically where the lead came from. So pretty much everything we have is going to be HubSpot synced because everything's coming over from HubSpot into Dynamics. The lead source, this is going to tell you, is it a cold call or drop by? Is it some kind of marketing content? Is it a conference, an ATI event? So these couple up here, so this cold call, the upsells, those are going to be ones that once you guys start creating your own leads, you would use as the lead source. Existing contact, that's just if somebody is already existing as a contact. When a lead comes over, if there's a contact in Dynamics, it'll auto-populate. So if you're creating your own, you wouldn't need anything in there. The source campaign is also another pretty important one. This will show you what campaign this lead came from. So like if it was for Summit, it would say Summit in there. If it was for a webinar, it would say what the name of the webinar was. And then down here is all the company information. The description will pull over from whatever the person put on the form they filled out or however that lead came in. So let's say it's an event or a conference. When they said, hey, I'd like more information, whoever took that lead from either our sales team in the booth or marketing, or if it's a conference without the booths and stuff, however that came in and the data that we pulled in the description, that information will come here. So we kind of know what they wanted to talk about or the interest they had. A couple other things up here, you have the number of students that you're expecting. The lead source, again, this is just another easy place to see it from up here as opposed to down in the actual record. And then the status. This is something that's kind of important. Once you reach out to this, it's best practice to go ahead and update this to contacted. That way we can run reports that show the leads that we've actually reached out to. Marketing likes to pull those numbers in to make sure that leads are getting worked in a timely manner. And then the last thing here was the client executive. Now, to disqualify a lead, you would come up here and click disqualify, and it gives you the different options to pick. So here's, what is there, 6 of them here? No response, invalid information, no longer interested, op already in progress, that'd be like a duplicate maybe, current client or other. So we're updating these, so these will change here in the next few weeks. We're going to add some, and we're going to make some a little bit more clear. So that's how you would disqualify. I'm going to go ahead and do this, but I'll make sure I don't save it. So let's say you picked invalid information. So this is going to bring up another screen. Oh no, it didn't do that. I'm going to have to look into that. It should have brought up another screen to where you would be able to add those notes in there. So I will make a note to get that fixed. Okay, cool. One other thing I'll show is if there's any other leads that are related to this lead. So sometimes maybe there'll be a lead in here that this contact there's another lead that this contact's been associated with, or even sometimes there's a lead that the account has an association to. So there might be multiple leads. You'll see that here. So there'd be a couple other leads here that would be associated to this current lead, just so you have an easier place to go look at it without having to bounce back and forth within the leads record. So I think that's pretty much it. Everything else on here is pretty self-explanatory. I guess one more place I'll go, we'll go look at some of the different views. Again, it's really probably not a great idea to come in here and look at all of mine because I have so many. But down here at the bottom, the system views, these are ones that you can kind of use, and you can start with some of these and then build your own off of these. And I think last week's episode, we talked about my views and customized views. And I've actually just put together a new espresso shot that's going to be going out Monday with some details on that and some training materials so you guys can know how to go in and create your own views and save them and edit all the columns and stuff. But there's all kinds of views down in here that you can look at, different views that you might need to see. So like leads opened last week. This is pretty, so this will have all of the leads that were open last week. Something cool you could do here. So this is every lead that was open last week. This is where you could come in and create your My View and then, change it to where it was only yours. So you'd come in here and you do client executive. And then you just change it to equals current user. And so that's going to be me. And so I don't have any leads, so there won't be anything here. And while we're here, I'll just touch on, if you see that asterisk, that means you've made changes to the view, but it's not saved. So if you go out of this, that means that it'll revert back to the old way, which was not including this. So yeah, just a lot of good stuff for leads. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know and reach out to me directly via Teams or email. And thanks for stopping in, Andrea. And for those of you that didn't, thanks for watching.
Thank you, Sean.
Have a great one.
All right, you too.